If the math didn't work, but staying felt worse, this might feel familiar. Welcome to Wisdom from the Porch. I'm GP. This is Wisdom from the Porch. Today we're diving deep into a moment many of us have dreamed about, or perhaps even lived: the leap. You know, that heart-pounding, stomach-dropping decision to leave the perceived safety of a regular paycheck for the wild, unpredictable world of entrepreneurship. It's a move that often comes with a mix of exhilarating freedom and terrifying uncertainty. We're talking about those moments when the numbers just don't add up on paper, but the conviction in your gut screams louder than any spreadsheet. It's about finding clarity in chaos and courage when the odds seem stacked against you. Let's explore what it truly means to bet on yourself when the stakes are incredibly high. Okay, imagine this: a checking account balance that barely covers a week's groceries, and a list of monthly expenses that feel like a lead weight. Yet there's this undeniable pull, this vision for something more, something built by your own hands. This isn't a story about reckless abandon. It's often a story about a deep-seated belief in an idea, a passion that can no longer be contained by the confines of a traditional role. When comfort zones become too constricting and the desire for autonomy outweighs the fear of financial instability, that's when the magic happens. It's a testament to the human spirit's capacity for resilience. Many find that when resources are scarce, creativity flourishes. Every dollar becomes a strategic investment, every hour a precious commodity. It forces a level of focus and innovation that might never emerge in a more cushioned environment. It's about turning perceived limitations into powerful catalysts for growth. So, what leads someone to look at $347 in their checking account, $1,200 in expenses, and say, yeah, this is the perfect time to jump ship? For me, it wasn't about hating my job, not entirely. It was more about feeling like I was living someone else's version of success. You know, the one where you climb the corporate ladder, get the promotions, the steady paychecks, and you're supposed to feel fulfilled. But I didn't. I felt stagnant, like a plant that needed repotting. But I was stuck in the same small pot, my roots circling, unable to grow. I knew I had talents. I knew I had more to offer. That feeling of being stuck, that quiet desperation, it started to outweigh the fear of financial instability. Every morning, the thought of another day making money for somebody else's business felt meaningless, and it chipped away at my spirit. I knew I had ideas, creativity, a drive to create something that was truly mine, but the security of my job felt like a heavy blanket, warm but suffocating. It wasn't just about the money or lack thereof. It was about reclaiming my time, my energy, my purpose. I remember having this conversation with a friend where I confessed my crazy idea. I told him, I have $347. My rent is due next week and I'm about to quit. And he just looked at me, not with judgment, but with this knowing smile and said, it's about time. That was validation. It wasn't about being reckless. It was about being brave enough to choose myself, even when the logical part of my brain was screaming, are you out of your mind? The first few days after quitting were a blur of exhilaration and sheer panic. One moment I was high on the freedom, sketching out business plans, feeling like a total boss. The next, I was staring at my bank account, doing mental gymnastics to figure out how to stretch this money for groceries and gas. It was a crash course in resourcefulness, a forced lesson in prioritizing needs over wants. And honestly, it was terrifying, but also strangely empowering. Because for the first time, every decision, every struggle, every small win was entirely my own. It was raw, it was real, and it was finally my life. Let's be real, the first few months were not a montage from a feel-good indie movie. There were no immediate venture capital deals or viral product launches. It was a lot of ramen noodles, late nights, and questioning every single life choice I'd ever made. I remember one particular low point, staring at my bank account, which had somehow dipped below the initial 347, and thinking, what have I done? The fear was palpable, a cold knot in my stomach. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom when you've chosen yourself. It forces you to get creative. It strips away all the non-essentials. Suddenly, every dollar had a purpose. Every hour was precious. I learned to hustle in ways I never thought possible. I took on freelance gigs, taught myself new skills from YouTube tutorials, and networked like my life depended on it. Because in a way it did. I was building a business, yes, but more importantly, I was building resilience. This period wasn't about overnight success. It was about the slow, steady accumulation of small wins. It was about the satisfaction of landing my first gig, the thrill of seeing my ideas take shape, the pride in knowing I was creating something from nothing. It was about realizing that my worth wasn't tied to a corporate title or a steady paycheck, but to my ability to adapt, to learn, and to keep going even when the odds felt insurmountable. It was the ultimate reality check, and it taught me more about myself than any job ever could. It showed me that I was capable of so much more than I ever gave myself credit for. So if you're out there feeling that familiar tug, that whisper that there's something more for you, but you're staring at your bank account and feeling paralyzed by the numbers, I get it. I've been there. And I'm here to tell you that the leap of faith isn't about being reckless. It's about faith. It's about being brave enough to align your life with your deepest desires, even when it scares you to death. It's not about having all the answers before you start. It's about taking that first terrifying step, trusting your intuition, and knowing that you'll figure out the rest along the way. It's about understanding that true security isn't found in a steady paycheck, especially if it comes at the cost of your soul. True security is built on resilience and resourcefulness. My journey from 347 and 1,200 in expenses to building something I'm truly proud of has been the hardest, most rewarding thing I've ever done. It's taught me that sometimes the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards, and that betting on yourself, even when the numbers don't add up, is always worth it. This year marks my 10th year as a solo entrepreneur, and I'm continuing to build my brand across all platforms. My LLC is Eric Holloway VO LLC. Everything else falls under that. thatbassvoice has been trademarked, and I recently started my own publishing company through BMI. Doors continue to open. Have there been setbacks? Absolutely. But those 2 steps back moments don't compare at all to all the 3 steps forward moments I've experienced. The people I've met, the things that I've been able to do, it all goes far beyond what I imagined when I first started on my own. What's your leap of faith? What's that thing you're holding back from? waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect financial cushion. Maybe it's time to redefine what perfect looks like. Maybe perfect is messy, uncertain, and incredibly brave. That's the conversation on the porch today. Sometimes the risk isn't leaving, it's staying somewhere that's slowly shrinking you. If this helped even a little, you can follow the show, so these conversations are here when you need them. And as always, thank you to Cloud Microphones for supporting these conversations. This has been Wisdom from the Porch. I'm GP. You're always welcome on the porch.